So one of the biggest goals, Srikanth, that people have is retirement. And I know that this goal could be very different for different people, but probably if there is one goal that everybody will have to deal with at some point in their life is retirement. And again, the kind of life you wish to choose after you've retired is very different for different people. So it's very difficult to come to a number and say that, look, this is the goal that you need to achieve financially. But even so, if somebody wants to lead a life where maybe you need a couple of lakh or 2 or 3 lakh 30 years from now or 35 years from now, what is the kind of corpus that we are looking at, and what is the role that equity can play? Because it's a long-term goal. It's not for somebody who's in their 50s thinking about next 3 years. It's somebody who's in their 20s or 30s looking at what they will do in their 60s. Can you tell us a little about retirement? What kind of corpus should I ideally be looking at to lead a comfortable life? And I know there's no easy answer to that because it will depend from city to city. Some cities are more expensive, some are less. You could be in a small town. But if you could take us through the power of equity in building a good retirement corpus.
All right. So I will take that part first, Vivek, if you permit me. I will speak about the role equity can play in a long-term retirement plan. The whole idea, as we all know, is to beat inflation. Okay, and when we are in a non-equity class, which is bonds, okay, we will only be neck to neck with inflation, but we may not be able to beat inflation because that is how interest rates are structured. They are meant to keep up with inflation and not beat it. So equity is the one growth asset which can help beat inflation. And inflation becomes more and more serious. It's compounding, right? Year on year it compounds. So 10 years or 2 decades down the line, the impact of that will be very momentous. And we need to plan for that. Now suppose I take the instance of a 45-year-old today, planning to retire at 58 or 60. Okay, that is 1.5 decades from now. And assuming that he is spending about 1 lakh a month today. Okay, and he desires the same lifestyle throughout. Nobody wants to compromise on their lifestyle. He would roughly need about 6 to 6.5 crores by the time he retires, so that the corpus will last him till 95, say. Okay, and in this 6.5 crores that he will build up, we think there should at least be a 30% equity element in it. Okay, and that I think is a magic number. One can deal with the volatility. The drawdowns on the total portfolio will not be bad even in a very bad period. Okay, and that's enough kicker to the portfolio to beat inflation. Right? Okay. So if you're getting 7% or so in bonds and you're getting say a 12-13% on equity, then you can hope to get about 9-10% on your portfolio, which is sufficient. You're making real wealth. Okay, and some of it gets plowed back into the portfolio to deal with your future years. Suppose you do not want to deal with equity in your retirement years. Okay, so that's a luxury. Because if you do not have equity, you want to play purely on bond or some other stream of steady income, then your corpus needs to be larger. By how much? I would reckon that the corpus should be at least 30 to 40% more than with this 30% equity. Are you able to afford it is the question. So 6 to 6.5 crores in case 1 where 30% equity, 8 to 8.5 crores in case 2 where you do not want equity.
So your ability to get to that is what will decide.
Is important. So if you say, so it becomes a luxury actually, that I am going to run my retirement kitty without equity is a luxury. That means I can afford to be in a very safe, steady set asset like bonds and run my life. Okay. And suppose you do not want to deal with equity even in the accumulation phase, 45 to 60,
getting to the 6.5
getting to that 6.5, getting to the 8.5 crores, because 6.5 is now out of question. You don't want equity. So getting from now to there, getting to 8.5 crores, your SIP will also have to be up by about 30% or 40%. I'm sorry, not 40%. Without equity, it will be close to 60% more. 1.2, 1.3 lakh SIP per month versus 3 lakh SIP per month. So you need to be able to afford that SIP.
That's the importance of equity if you want to build a good retirement corpus.
Yes, that's right.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.